I'm just going to begin my makeup by prepping it with the MAC Cosmetics Prep and Prime primer, and this is the little sample that I got sent within one of my orders. So I'm just going to be taking this little one and applying a little bit of this over my skin before I start applying my foundation. And I haven't used my MAC Studio Fix Fluid in a while, or my Pro Longwear concealer, so I figured that I would change things up a little bit today and stay away from Estee Lauder, because you guys will know if you've seen my videos before how much I love the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. But I found this in my drawer and I figured why not go back to it, so that's what I'm doing today. I really love how this primer makes your skin feel as well. It's just so matte, but it's not drying at all. And I've been quite lucky with it because I haven't actually had to buy any of the product yet, because they keep sending me samples when I place an order with MAC, so I've got quite enough to tie me over for the time being. So I haven't actually had to go out and purchase it yet, but if I ran out I would definitely go ahead and purchase this because I just love the finish that I get on my skin. Oh, it's a little bit annoying when I'm doing my makeup, so let's just get rid of that. Like so. It's no longer Halloween anymore, but hey. And it's like currently snowing outside, but we're rolling with it. So for foundation, like I said, we're going to be using the MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation in the shade NC15, and this is such a light shade, but I am not tanned at the moment at all, so this is the one that we're going to be going for. And I just need to damp my beauty blender and then I can go ahead and apply this foundation. Put the smallest amount of this foundation on my skin because I don't really feel like I really need a lot with this foundation. It does go a really long way and the coverage is pretty good. Like, this is probably light to medium coverage, but then again at the moment I don't really have like any major breakouts that I need to take care of or anything like that, so I'm saving the Estee Lauder for when that sort of happens, because I do find that that foundation gives a bit more coverage than this one. But I'm having quite a good skin day today, so I'm just sort of going with it. Forget how much I really like this foundation, so I'm kind of glad that I decided to go with this one today. It's a matte finish, but it also gives like a nice satin velvety sort of touch when it's sort of set on skin, which is something I really like. And sometimes with matte foundations it can be a little bit overwhelmingly matte, so yeah, that's what I really like about this, especially with the visage underneath. It's not too drying, which is really nice. And that also helps with the texture of the foundation as well, and it helps it stay on for longer as well, which is what we want. So I'm literally just focusing this under my eyes and around my nose, because that's where I obviously have the most dark circles and redness as well around my nose, so that's where I'm trying to focus this. So I've literally just gone away, filled in my eyebrows, and now we're going to conceal underneath the brow just to sharpen it up a little bit and put a bit of concealer on my eyelid as well, just to give it a base for our eyeshadow, what we're going to do. But first of all, I'm just going to brush through my brows and make sure that they're nice and prepped for shaping, and then I'm going to go ahead and conceal them right now. So for concealer, I'm going to be using the MAC Pro Longwear concealer in the shade NC15, just the same as the foundation, and I'm just going to be focusing this basically underneath my eyebrows to shapen and sharpen the whole thing up, and then I'm going to be doing it underneath my eyes as well, and then probably down my nose and later on as well, just to sharpen up a bit of my contour. So yeah, that's what we're going to start off doing. So I'm just going to zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing with my eyebrows. Okay, so as you can see, currently there's nothing on my eyelids itself or underneath this part here, so we're just going to begin by putting the smallest amount of the concealer onto a very small concealer brush like this, and then I'm just going to begin by lining underneath the brow itself. So with the eyebrows, I always like just to start here where the tail is and drag it down or upwards, whatever's easier for you. But I always like to start off by defining the outer edge of the eyebrow before I go into the middle, just in case I make any mistakes. It's easier to correct rather than if you start at the front, just because it follows through nicely, and if you do make a mistake at the front, it kind of mucks the whole thing up, so you might have to restart again. So that's what I like to do. And then just sort the front out once you're happy with the tail, and try and get as close to the line as you can. And then any excess product I like to just put here at the front, just to make sure that there's no shadows or harsh lines or anything like that from our eyebrow product. And then the excess I just drag down onto the lid like this, and then I will blend that in with my beauty blender. So you have to blend this in a fair bit with the concealer brush, just to make sure the skin's all covered, because it is drying and it does mattify very quickly. So if you don't sort of blend it out in the area that you want, it will kind of go a little bit patchy, so you've got to work quite quickly with it. Make sure your beauty blender or sponge is quite wet and damp, so you can really get in there and work quickly with it. But yeah, it should work pretty well. I really like the results I've been getting doing my eyebrows like this. I'm really quite happy with my new routine. So yeah, this is pretty much all I do, and you've seen me do it quite a few times if you see my videos. But then if you need to, you can just take your eyebrow brush and quickly just comb back through the hairs and making sure you're happy with where everything's placed. And if you are, you can go onto the other eye. If you've got any excess concealer left over on your brush like me, then you can just go ahead and put that underneath your eyes. So I'm just gonna swatch that onto the blender and put this underneath my eyes and also down the bridge of my nose as well. And then that is pretty much done, and we can go ahead and move on to eyeshadow. You just pop in this underneath my eyes and down the nose, tiny little bit, and then if you've got any more, you can just sort of pop it in places that you want highlighted, so just above the lip on the cupid's bow, and a little bit underneath as well. I mean, if you wanted to, you could even take it up by the forehead as well and blend that in just here, just to highlight, but I'm just going to do the basics today. A little bit ghost-like at the moment, but I am going to warm this look up in just a second. After the eye makeup, I'm going to go ahead and do bronzers and stuff like that. But for this makeup look, I am going to be using this Nude Tude palette by The Balm, which I used a little while back in a couple of my tutorials, but I kind of forgot that I had it. Found it in my drawer the other day when I was clearing up before I did the bedroom tour. So if you haven't seen that, I will link that at the end of the video for you guys. But yeah, I figured that I would use this palette. So inside you get these absolutely gorgeous shades. Good that I would go ahead and use this for you guys today and try and come up with something a little bit different. And this is just the little brush that you get with it as well. It's just a double-edged brush. So you've got an angled side there for smoking out, and then I like to use the more straighter edge for underneath my eye and basically doing the lower lash line, which I'll be using later. So I think first of all I'm going to start by taking my little eye crease blending brush, going with the shade Sultry, which is kind of like a matte coffee shade. So I'm going to start by going in with that, and as you can see, this palette is so pigmented that it was literally just a light pat and all of that product has come off. So that is the one thing I would say about this product, is that it is really good that it's pigmented, but there's going to be quite a bit of fallout. So I'm just going to zoom you in and just make sure you're aware of that throughout this tutorial, in case it's a bit messy or in case you're looking to buy this palette yourself. But The Balm in general is such a good brand and I really love their stuff. I also decided to use this palette as well is because it's such a long wearing formula. So even though it is super pigmented and you may get a little bit of fallout, it's all worth it because your makeup at the end of the day is going to stay in place for hours. And look at that colour. That was literally only with one dust of the product, and look how pigmented that is, and that's only our transition shade. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, I really love this palette. Next, I'm going to be taking a smaller brush and I'm going to be going in with a slightly darker shade. It is the same sort of tone of coffee and it's called Seductive, with a little bit of shimmer in there. And the brush I'm looking for is kind of like a short chisel brush. Actually comes with the Naked Smoky palette. You guys would have heard me mention this quite a lot before. If you have seen any of my other makeup tutorials, it may have been in one of the ones that you've watched, but it's basically just this short double-edged brush, and one side is super fluffy and the other side is quite short and dense, and this is the side that I absolutely love to use just to get right into my crease. So I'm going to be taking that Seductive shade, and again only taking a little bit because it goes so long way, and then going about halfway across the lid and just focusing it here. Then I'm just going to be taking this brush again just to blend the whole thing out and make sure that there's no harsh lines between the two shades. I'm going to be going in with the shade Sexy, which is a gorgeous burgundy deep shade. So with this, I'm very lightly taking this part of the brush. This is the other side of the brush, and I'm just going to be dipping that into the shade, and it's so dark. Oh my god, you've got to be careful with the dark ones because I don't want to go too over the top with it because it is a day makeup look. But yeah, this is for Valentine, so I'm going to be going a little bit out there with it. So I'm just literally focusing this on the corner and sort of dragging it back up into the crease itself. And then once you're happy with kind of how much stuff you've got in there, you can just take this brush again, or whatever brush you used to blend out in the first place, and just start blending everything together. Dragging it down on the lid as well. And yeah, this is just a really subtle makeup look, and it's just kind of ombre as well, so it's what I really like. It's like, a really small flat brush to do that, and I'm going to be taking the shade Sassy, which is basically a pearly white shade, but on the skin it will just be quite shimmery. So I'm just popping this here on this half, and I don't really want to take it any further because then you won't be able to see the other colours that we've used. So I'm literally just focusing it here on the lower part, and then again taking this and just sort of sweeping away any lines. Just to make sure it all looks nice and put together. Go back in with any other shade and darken up the crease a little bit, you can do. So I might just take a little bit more of that original shade which we used for our crease, which is the matte sultry shade, and going in with this and basically just going back over the top of the eye where we did before, not doing anything different, but just to make sure that that crease is really nice and defined. This is where this little brush comes in, which comes with the palette. I'm going to be taking this for the lower lash line. So again, I'm going to be applying the shade Sultry, which is the first matte shade, underneath the lash line, just to bring the whole thing together. And then I'm just going to flip it over and use this side just to blend everything out so it's not so harsh, because this brush is pretty dense, so it does pack the product on pretty like high coverage, and then you've got to sort of work to blend it out. But that's okay, we can literally just work with that. So I'm literally just going to take this small edge brush again just to blend it out, because I think that might work a little bit better than using that one. Pretty much what the eye makeup is looking like. So I'm just going to go ahead and basically do exactly the same thing on the other eye, and come back to you, and then we can move on to mascara. I did just decide to go ahead and add the shade Sleek as well, which is a matte brown kind of shade, and it was literally just using this small brush again from the Balm set, and I literally just sweeped it like 3/4 of the way across just to smoke it out a little bit more. And now I'm going to go ahead and do my mascara, and for that I'm going to be using the Sumptuous Volume Mascara by Estee Lauder, and I absolutely love this mascara for long wearing, lasting volume. Basically it really holds my lashes up there, especially when I'm curling them. I don't want them to be dropping throughout the day. I want to know that they're staying there. And yeah, so if I'm going out, this is the mascara that I will definitely go to. It's my new favourite, so all of these products are 100% going to last. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this and show you what it looks like. So this is just what the eyes are looking like with the mascara on. I haven't curled my lashes yet or anything like that, but I absolutely adore this mascara. It just gets every single lash and just makes them look super long, especially when they're curled. So yeah, this is pretty much the finished eye look at the moment. Okay, so now that the eye's done and we're waiting for the mascara to set, I think I'm going to be using this Pure Colour. It's a baked highlighter powder, but it is quite dark, so I'm actually going to be using it as more of a bronzer to tone up the look a little bit. So it's just this one. It is from their old range. I'm not sure if you can still get these anymore because New Look have changed over their beauty range basically and updated all of their stock. So I'm not sure if you can still get this, but it might just be the case that it's the same product in different packaging. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll still have something along the lines of a baked highlighter powder. So yeah, you probably still can get that online if you want to go and check that out. I will link their beauty range down below in the description box. I really highly recommend their makeup products. I've got quite a lot of the Pure Colour range and I really like the stuff, so yeah, you should go and check it out. So basically for bronzer, I'm just going to be taking this angled brush just to get a really precise line going on. I'm literally just taking the smallest amount of this because it is so pigmented, and yeah, it just, oh, I love it though, but it is pretty dark, so you do want to be careful with it. So I'm just taking a really small amount and sort of dragging it from here to the edge of my eye, so it's down here in the hollows of my cheeks. So I can find my hollows of my cheeks pretty easily, but if you can't, just suck your cheeks in, and it's where the line naturally curves into your face at the smaller part. So I'm actually just dragging that down for a really subtle look. I really like to build this product up gradually so it looks more natural. It is quite subtle if you're light-handed with it, which is the look I always like to go to when I'm bronzing or contouring, because I don't want it to be too out there, but I also want you to be able to see the colour, if that makes sense. So you've got to sort of get the right balance in there. But normally once I'm happy with this sort of thing, I will go in with this kabuki brush and just blend the whole thing together to make sure there's no harshness or anything like that going on. It's clean, there's nothing on there, and I'm just sort of doing it very lightly because I don't want to sweep it all off, but it shouldn't move because our foundation is pretty matte, so it should be on there for the long run. But that is literally just bronze the whole thing up and it just looks so much better. So now I think I'm going to do my nose a little bit, so I'm just going to take this M458 Morphe brush for my nose, which I always love. And yeah, pretty much going to do what you've seen me do so many times, just contour my nose really quickly. So I will be right back once I've done that. I'm happy with how everything's looking at the moment, and I really do love the Pure Colour stuff just because it is so long wearing, especially their translucent baking powder, which is what I'm going to be using just to highlight underneath my jawline here. Basically just to make more of a sharpen edge with the contour, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But my nose is done and it's just made a little bit of difference, so I'm literally just going to do this. And you can also do this under the eyes as well, but I think that the matte concealer has done quite a nice job at highlighting under the eyes because it's pretty bright, so I don't think I really need that. So I'm literally just going to do it under here. And yeah, I think that will be pretty much the face stuff done. Beauty blender, take the smallest amount of the product and just put it on to the skin directly. And this is so messy, this pot, that's the only thing, is that the product is gorgeous but the packaging isn't very practical. It's like a little screw off pot, and as soon as you undo it, it just goes everywhere. So I'm not sure if they've changed that in any way, but with their new range, but I hope they have, because that's the only thing that lets it down, is that you kind of waste a little bit because every time you open it it's a little bit messy. So but this powder is so intense, it just lightens it up straight away. So I'm not going to actually leave it on there to set, I'm literally just going to dust that line off because I don't want it to be too harsh, because it does work really well. And I didn't pay much for it either. I think it was only like £4 or maybe £5 or something. So that's pretty good. It might have even been less than that. It was a long time ago, but yeah, you can just tell straight away how much it brightens it up. Then just going back in with this again, just to blend the whole thing out. My fave thing. This is pretty much the face done. So now I'm going to be moving on to lips and showing you guys what I would wear for a long lasting kind of sultry lip. So yeah. Pretty much done and everything is looking quite nice. I really like how this makeup's turned out. So I'm just going to go ahead and basically curl my lashes with this little curler. So now that the makeup is pretty much done, I'm just going to take my hair out and show you guys the whole thing. I really hope that you guys did enjoy watching this as much as I enjoyed putting this thing together. And whatever you're doing this Valentine's Day, I hope you have a good day. Subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click that like button down below if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to leave a comment as well, because as always I love to hear from you guys, and any of the products mentioned in this video can be found in the description box down below. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!